I left my wife, and it took her over a week to notice. New to Reddit, so I hope I'm doing this right. I 35M was married to my wife 35F for 8 years. I left her 5 years ago. We are child-free by choice, her choice. I had always said we had a good relationship in marriage, but looking back I see that it was good for her. Here's my story. I've always been the nerdy type. Smart, good grades, but never popular. I am from a very well-off family. Due to my grandparents' inheritance and some smart investments my parents did, I did not have to go to college or work and still have a comfortable life. But I love what I did. I met my wife my first year in college. She was in my class and was looking for a tutor. She was a scholarship kid. We spent more and more time together, but never in the weekend. I wasn't the outgoing type and she would still go out in the weekend. After a while we started going on dates, and after I graduated we got married. Looking back, she started making decisions for us as soon as we got together. My wife worked the first half of our marriage, and when her company downsized she got laid off. She became a stay-at-home wife, who was not at home that much. She had friends she took trips with, had a lot of lunches and dinners with her friends. Basically spend my money on her well-off lifestyle. While I remember our love life being passionate in the beginning, it's just that, a memory. When I was 29, I was involved in a car crash. They say a drunk driver totaled my car, but I still have no memory of that day. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. After waking up, I had to learn to do a lot again. After 4 months, I went back to work. When I came back home, my wife put me in the spare room. She said it has been like that a while because I was snoring. I kept my mouth shut, but I knew that this was new. The accident somehow gave me clarity of mind. I could see that the marriage has been over for a while, but I still wanted to see if I could save it. Everything I tried failed. What sealed the deal for me was my 30th birthday. I came home, and she was not home. She was having a spa day with her friends. I ordered takeout, watched a movie, and made a decision. I wanted out. The next morning, I wanted my lawyer to start drafting divorce papers. I stopped engaging with her unless absolutely necessary. Slowly, I started selling anything that had any emotional value to me. I left all her stuff for her. I bought a new car and left it at a parking garage not so far from our home. 1 month later, all I had left were my clothes and a couple of laptops, projector, portable screen. Everything I needed to work from the road. I did not quit my job. I arranged for it to be completely remote. 2 months after my birthday, I stayed while my wife was at just another lunch with her girls. I took the new car, packed everything I needed in it, left the divorce papers and a letter on my bed in the spare room, and closed the door to my house for the last time, wondering how long it would take for her to notice. I decided to drive cross-country and visit every place I wanted to go but couldn't because my wife didn't want to. We had a prenup, so she had no right to ask anything. In the letter, I explained I told her I was leaving and I would leave her the house and the car and would pay a sum every month for exactly a year after that she was on her own. In my own stupidity, I forgot to mention why I was leaving. This would work out in my favor. 10 days after I left, I got a text from my wife asking me where I was and if this was a joke. She called me, but I didn't pick up. I never pick up the phone while driving. I had an automated text send that said, "I'm driving and will call back later." She sent me text after text after text. That night I stopped in a motel and decided to read the text before calling her back. First, she was asking if this was a joke, then asking when I will come back, then begging me to come back, not knowing why I left, and then she said something. She was sorry and it didn't mean anything and she will cut him off. She was having an affair. Something I never suspected. I called her cell phone and she was at her parents'. I learned this tactic from TV. She started yelling at me and I hung up. I waited 1 minute and called back. She started yelling again and I hung up again. I waited 2 minutes and called back again. This time she wasn't yelling and I started talking. I told her that she was going to let me talk first, and after I said what I needed to say, and then she could ask questions. I told her why I left. We were married but living like roommates. Not even roommates because they at least acknowledge each other. I don't remember the last time we had a conversation. The last time we did something together. I didn't remember the last time we had sex, but I know it was before the accident. I told her that for a month before leaving, I stopped talking and sold everything I had in the house and she didn't even notice. That it took her 10 days after I left before she noticed I was gone. If she had called me on the day I left, I would have turned around immediately. I ended with, "Thank you for admitting to the affair. I really didn't know about that." She tried to apologize, and when she asked me to come back, I asked her why. If she could explain to me why I would consider it. What was in it for me? What would change? She couldn't answer. So I said goodbye and told her my lawyer knows how to contact me. Then I blocked her. The next day, I bought a new phone with a new number and left the old one in the motel. 2 weeks later, I got an email from my lawyer that the divorce papers were signed. I was free. I kept my word. My lawyer already had all documents signed by me that would transfer ownership of the house and the cars to her. The bank automatically deposits a fixed amount to our shared account every month for a year. Where we are now. For the past 5 years, I have been driving across the country, working remotely. I finally had a reason to start social media. I posted online where I've been and where I'm going. I stay in a place for a couple of weeks and drive to the next. My ex-wife started following me on Instagram a year after I left, and out of curiosity, I looked at her public posts. I'm not planning on following her back. She posted pics with her boyfriend soon after I left. To her credit, she did not badmouth me, at least not in Instagram. 2 months after I left, they apparently broke up. That was the last time I really had an update of her. I also have a sex life now. Once I put myself out there, it turned out to be easier to have casual sex. No committed relationship. Now, after years, I'm going back to my hometown. There is a reunion I want to attend. I'm staying for a month, maybe 2, and then I'm going to Canada. I have no plans of looking up my ex, but I will also not actively avoid her. If I see her, I'll see her. If I don't, I don't. Update 1. A small Q&A. A few things that were already answered in the comments. People have asked me and even berated me for leaving her the house. The answer is actually very simple. I wanted to leave. I made up my mind that I was going to travel and didn't want anything tying me down. Selling the house would have taken too long. Leaving it to her was the fastest option. Additionally, my conscience wouldn't have allowed it. She might not be a good person, but I try to be one. Leaving her homeless would have weighed heavily on me. Remember, there's a reason I married her, because I did love her at one time. There are people who think this is fake because I was traveling during COVID. The answer is not that simple, but can be summed up in 2 words: carefully and illegally. About my work. I've been working remotely for the past 5 years. 3 years ago, I switched jobs to a new company and position, still remote. There was never a necessity to come into an office. I've invested in a satellite internet connection, yes, provided by the company. Now I have high-speed internet everywhere I go. I have KPIs that I need to reach every 2 weeks. I can set my own working hours, as long as I meet the KPIs. About Canada. I'm not migrating to Canada, just visiting. I visit one place for a few weeks, then move to the next, and repeat. People have been asking for my social media account. I'm not going to share it. I came to Reddit for the anonymity. I still have a lot of people I know who don't need to hear the story. My social media has been private for a couple of years now. Only extended friends and family are my followers. When my ex-wife started following me, I didn't know much about the privacy settings back then. Now I do, and I never bothered to remove her as a follower. About the divorce being smooth. Listen, when I said she signed the papers, that didn't mean everything was set and done. I said I'm free because I felt free. The divorce proceedings still took some time, and when you have a good lawyer and you are traveling, court sessions can be done over Zoom. While it was relatively fast, it certainly wasn't 2 weeks. So, her signing the papers was the moment I felt free, not the divorce being finalized. This is real. This is how my life changed. But I can't force people to believe it. So, to those who want to believe it's fiction, hope you enjoyed the read. P.S. Some people made some Reacher comparisons. I just found out there is a TV show. I only knew the movies. Looks like I've got 2 seasons to catch up on. Update 2. So I met my ex-wife. Or let's rephrase that. We ran into each other. Or rather, she ran into me. I was at a cafe and had just ordered lunch when a woman took a seat at my table. She looked at me in disbelief and said something like, "It's really you?" I must have looked puzzled. Then she said, "You don't recognize me, do you?" I took a closer look and recognized her. She looks different. Her hair is different in style and color. She's wearing glasses again. The last time I remember, she was in college, and she had modest makeup in contrast to the tons of makeup she used to wear. I'm not going to lie, she looked beautiful. She wanted to catch up. I planned on being cordial, so I told her we could have lunch together, but that I had plans afterward. So I had her join me for lunch. Here's what I learned. Most of her friends left her because she couldn't afford their luxury spa days, lunches, trips, etc. She sold the house and now lives in an apartment. She has a job now, and that's where she met the guy she's seeing currently. She has a good life now, and it's normal, not extravagant. I know Reddit wants me to hate her and enact some kind of nuclear revenge, but I don't need that. We won't be friends, but that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Yes, I paid for lunch, and yes, I gave her a hug goodbye afterwards. I'm not giving her my contact information, but I did add her back on Instagram. I think that's enough. Also, I got an invitation to go to a small country in South America by a remote coworker who found my story on Reddit. Seriously considering it. I mean, the food. He suggested driving through his country. It's not a big country, so it would only take a couple of weeks. He's a biker, and I don't know how to ride one, so I just follow him and his girlfriend with a car.